once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PSGL for round number 5 of the PlayStation Top Tier from the Temple of Speed, where hopefully, after the PC action and after what we saw at yesterday's Italian Grand Prix, we won't see any F1 cars climbing on top of each other tonight. It is the Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit. My name is Luke Etheridge. Joining me in the commentary box, as always, is Mark Alimonda. Mark, how are you doing?
Good evening, Luke. Salve, everybody in the chat. We are back for PSGL action from Italy. Monza. Can't wait. Should be a great race for us tonight.
Yes, it should be. And the eagle-eyed amongst you might have already noticed a slight change that is happening, well, not tonight, but in the future. As you can see from the calendar on the screen, because of the new update today, we're no longer going to Suzuka. We are going to the Portimao circuit for round number 9 out of 13 here on the PlayStation. So that's going to be a new challenge for the drivers around there. I'm sure they'll have been getting used to it. There's been a new patch coming out today that might have made things a bit more difficult as well. So these drivers, they're the best on the platform. They should be able to adapt, and they're pretty good at learning new tracks. A fairly new track they had to learn recently was the Zandvoort circuit, and last time out it was Joost who took a victory, getting revenge for 2 seasons ago where he finished second behind Duncan. This time it was Duncan who finished in second, and as Joost is the first repeat winner of the season, it is no surprise to see he is now at the top of the drivers' standings. 40 points for him. Blizzard is on 29 after failing to score last time out. Georges is currently third. Duncan bumps up to fourth. Some other names bumping up down the order as well. You've got Will LG getting his way into the top 10, and that fantastic point performance from Hughes means Red Bull are now top of the Constructors' Championship still. 7 points ahead of AlphaTauri, who saw Midnight claim his first podium. Still, at the end of tonight, 7 teams could mathematically be leading that Constructors' Championship. We also saw Alpine get their first points of the season last time around, courtesy of Leo and M Short. Zandvoort, very twisty circuit, not a lot of overtaking opportunities. Sticking in DRS is important. Monza, all about speed, but because of the setup of the track, there's not really tons of overtaking opportunities either, and staying in with DRS, as always on this game, is important, but it's not really as effective around here as it is at other circuits.
No, not at all, Luke, because the drag reduction system is there to reduce drag, to allow the easier opportunities to overtake, but you're running very skinny wings here at Monza. So, in effect, given that you also run low road heights, the drag on the car is going to be very limited. So, in effect, that goes against what the DRS is trying to do, because it's not really going to have much of an effect. So, in some ways, like we see at Bahrain, we're going to likely get, with the sort of performance between the drivers not too great in terms of different lap times, big DRS trains in the early stints, and it won't be until the strategies play out that we may see the majority of the overtaking action in the final half of the race.
Yeah, definitely. Although, I've just had a quick look at the weather forecast, and I can tell you, we're not going to be seeing any DRS trains at the start of the race if this forecast is true. Light rain for at least the first 15 minutes, possibly towards the first 30. That could make things very interesting, especially around Monza, because obviously you want as light a downforce, I should say, as possible, as little on the car as you can get away with. But in the wet weather, you're still going to want that tiny bit more of extra on. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get a half dry, half wet race, if some drivers take a bit of downforce off and just think, right, we'll struggle at the start, we'll be fantastic at the end and in qualifying, or you think, do you know what, I'll put a tiny bit more on, yes, I might qualify bad, but I'll be able to stay on circuit in the early stages of the race and hopefully build up a bit of a gap.
Yeah, I think Italy is one of the worst tracks to have a mixed condition race for. Personally, I would prefer it if it was dry than wet at the end, because at least you can sort of adjust that on the fly. But you know, starting in wet conditions and going to dry, you're going to have to compromise somewhere. But the problem is, as you say, you're going to be good in one set of conditions, but you're going to be highly compromised in the other. So I think, given that the end of the race will be in the dry, I think most of the drivers will be going for as close to their dry setup as possible and just try and hang on, because, as you know, Luke, the rain could disappear fairly quickly.
Yeah, certainly. And after yesterday's performance, it feels only right that we go on a hot lap with a McLaren. This time it is Suso heading his way down towards the Rettifilio chicane. Very tricky indeed. Second gear through there. You'll see him short shift. Actually went down to first and then back up to second. Short shifting all the way up to fourth gear to try and reduce that wheel spin coming from these hybrid powertrains. Now through the Curva Grande, sticking to the right hand side as much as possible, and that is to give you as best of possible line through the second chicane, the Roggia. Quite a difficult chicane to get right, this one, especially on the exit. Dip a wheel into that gravel and it can cause all sorts of problem. Now the double right-hander at the Lesbos. These used to be a bit faster back in the days of Senna and Prost, and these are really the only medium speed parts of the track. Fifth gear through that bit, now heading through the second DRS zone, down the hill ever so slightly as you cross under the old banking, last used in Formula 1 60 years ago in the tragic 1961 race, into the Variante Ascavi. Left, right and left. Watch out for that curve on the left hand side at the exit of that corner. Very easy to get it wrong. And now heading towards the final corner, renamed this week after Michele Alboreto. We all still know it, of course, as the Parabolica curve. Final corner, all about getting on the throttle as early as possible. Be careful for those track limits on the left hand side. Suso leaving quite a bit to chance at that moment of time. Coming across the line now for a 1:19.774, quite a bit faster than Benjamin, who is actually full time now in that team. He has replaced Isma, who has left, and we see Hughes go to the top of the times on a 1:19.6. To compare that to the times we were seeing in some of the lower tiers, F2 pole position was a 1:19.0. But if they were going for a full dry setup, I was about to say we might expect them to be a few tenths off, but judging by the fact that Xander's gone a 1:19.2 on his banker lap, I think we're going to see quite a few cars get into the 1:18 tier.
Yeah, Xander got a lovely toe on the run down to Parabolica from one of the Haas drivers, and that definitely helped him get the time that he got, as Leo puts it up to down a little bit at 1:19.193. Alpine have had an interesting season, shall we say. I mean, both their drivers have had really good qualifying positions at times from the first 4 rounds of the season, but they've not been able to convert that. They finally got their first points of the season last week at Zandvoort, so that was better for them. But I do feel like Leo and Short definitely could have got more points than they have managed so far.
Yeah, certainly. I think they'd have been hoping for things to go slightly better. Duncan invalidated on this lap. You do see it happen quite a lot, to be perfectly honest, around this circuit. Drivers getting it slightly wrong, always tempting you to run a bit wide. And if you want some extra information about the qualifying system, you can use the task system. The commands have just been put in the top chart, because it seems for some reason the boss is slightly allergic to that section. So there we go, all the commands that you can do in qualifying. We're now on board with Christmas as he comes round the final corner, yet to score any points this season. He got the win here though, last time the top tier raced here in season 27, so it'll be interesting to see what performance he can put in. Not bad whatsoever for his first lap. He goes into 6th. Interesting that Yost and Georges both went out for a second lap on those softs. They know it's going to be a wet start to the race, so they don't have to worry about that, of course. And even if they did, it's not a high tyre wear circuit, Monza. A lot of slow corners, so you're not really putting lots of load through these Pirellis.
Yes, I mean, the majority of the laps taken at full throttle, so you're not going to be worrying too much about that. 84% is the highest percentage of full throttle at any circuit, unsurprisingly, given the high average speeds. I mean, essentially, this is just a bunch of flat-out sections with some chicanes to slow you down. Unlike the monstrous Monza of old with the old banking, where it's just flat out for the entire lap, basically. I mean, I can't imagine driving F1 cars, some of those rickety old bombs on wheels in the 60s and 70s on that banking. That must have been terrifying. But to those drivers who were absolute gladiators in that time period, just as they are today, must have been nothing to them.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't even imagine trying to walk up that bank, and I feel I'd ended up definitely falling flat on my face. We'll see what Casper can do here as he's heading towards the finish line. Another driver going for a second run on those tyres, and he gets himself up into 5th place. So the majority of the field have done their first runs in qualifying. Leo goes fastest then, 1:19.193. Joost, Zander, Georges, Casper, your top 5. Then Jordan, Lars, who is making his debut as a reserve, did start the season in F2, but circumstances meant he wasn't available at that time anymore. So Connor, gratefully for Lars, I think, put him into the top tier as a reserve. He's in 7th, and then it's Christmas, Asacombe, and Jack Eater. This is an interesting run from Blizzard, though. He's on a set of the medium tyres. I'm not really sure the logic of this one, to be honest.
Well, perhaps he's having a look at how the tyre performs, because depending on when the rain transitions that we know we're going to get at the beginning of the race, perhaps he's thinking, okay, what's the medium tyre like, at high speed? Or simply maybe he's getting a feel for the circuit. Back to the drawing board for Blizzard really after last week, Luke. I mean, he had a wretched qualifying and he just got stuck in the pack at Zandvoort, which is one of those massive punishments you get for a poor qualifying session at that particular track. Then had the incident with Casper late on, which pretty much summed up his day. So he was the championship leader in the first 3 rounds. After winning at Bahrain, he had 3 pole positions in a row. But yeah, Zandvoort was a whole session to forget, frankly, and he'll be looking to do better today. He didn't set a time on those mediums, so yeah, he was definitely going out there just to get a feel of the circuit.
Yeah, we are on board now with Benjamin, as I said, making his debut in the PS, well, making his debut as a full-time driver this season in the PS top tier. He was, of course, here last season. Last time they raced here, he finished 2nd in F2, and he did win the title last year, so he'll be hoping this can kickstart his season as he now heads through a Scarvi chicane, and massive amounts of understeer there on the exit of the chicane. Not ideal whatsoever, and I think, yeah, backing off, going for another lap, of course. That is probably around this circuit where you see drivers get into the most trouble. Coming through a Scarvi, hitting any of those curbs too hard at either the first left, the right, or the second left just seems to cause massive problems for these cars, especially with the new handling model.
Yes, I mean, I did a few laps of Portimao earlier, as I'm sure no one else did earlier on. But yeah, the handling model, I think it's too early to say how different it is. It obviously is different, judging by those who, practice far more than I do. But, from the few laps I did, it felt fine. But what effect it has on tonight's race with the lack of practice it would have had in comparison to normal, where they had, nearly a week of practice, I'm not so sure. I mean, Juice is still up there, so it's not affecting him too much so far.
No, these, of course, fantastic drivers. They've got that bit of natural talent as well, so I think you throw them in any handling model, give them a few laps, they'll be able to get round to it. Will LG goes fastest on a 1:19.183. He's been a different man this season compared to last. We're on board with Midnight, was fastest in Sector 1 and does become the first man to get into the 1:18s then. 1:18.933 from Midnight. Last season, he had one good result at Zandvoort, and that kick-started his season. He got 10 points last time out. He'd only had 1 in the first 3 races. It looks a bit like deja vu for the Thai driver.
That certainly is. Midnight looked like the exact driver we expected into the start of the season we were going to see. He had the rounds up to Zandvoort had been highly disappointed in Midnight, but now he really looks like he's got the confidence back. Kind of reminds me of a certain Daniel Ricciardo, who had complete lack of confidence, but then finally got it back together and has built himself up from there. So yeah, Midnight could be one of the dark horses for the win tonight.
Yeah, certainly keep an eye out for him. I think I did put the commentator's curse on him right at the start of the season when I said, well, I think at the end of last season I said I thought he'd be one of the favourites for the title. Who knows? Still early days. We've still got 9 races left, including tonight, so a lot can happen in that time. We're on board with Fusilio. The Haas drivers always seems to be there or thereabouts with the points in the race, so we'll see what he can do this time around. Coming through that final corner, he is up in the first sector, a bit down on his personal best in the second sector, and in the end that lap only got enough to put him up into 13th. What this wet start to the race is going to do, of course, not that you see it too often around here. There's no point aiming for 11th place. Everyone is going to get a fresh set of, most likely, intermediates to start the race with.
Yeah, and this will make it a very, straight qualifying session. You're not going to get, any sort of tactical decisions to start outside the top 10, because, you want to start as far up as possible. Because, as you know, Luke, the concertina effect at Monza is absolutely horrendous if you're in the mid-pack. if any driver in front of you mistimes your braking or the driver behind, then you could see several cars chipping off their wings.
Yeah, certainly. Turn 1 in 2011 comes to mind when I think it was Antonio Liuzzi had a bit of an issue in the HRT and completely ploughed into the side of Nico Rosberg on the run down to the road to Vetafilio. We have seen many horrendous crashes there. In Formula 1, Leo was actually fastest of anyone in the second sector. He goes up into third place. Second place, Zander just ahead of him. Out on track, now behind him. He goes into what is now fourth because Duncan. So it's a 119.1. We are starting to see the times come in thick and fast here. Blizzard, he'd done a lap earlier, got himself up into 10th place. We'll see what he can do. Started the season with 3 pole positions, of course, until that disastrous qualifying last time out at Zandvoort. He's had, apart from Zandvoort, he's had pace every single track, and you wonder if circumstances have been a bit different as, that's a massive drift, then a massive hit on the curb, and a lot of drivers were doing that. They were talking about it in time trial. You get it wrong from the first part of the Voggia, you find out that second part just tends to throw you up into the air, and he has to be a bit careful here while trying to get back onto track to make sure he doesn't get disqualified.
Yeah, a split second before he spun, I thought, yeah, you've attacked that first part a little bit too much, and he just couldn't recover the car to angle it, and then, yeah, once he hit that bump, completely unbalances the central axis of the car, and that's it. You just spin the car. It doesn't matter how good you are. When your tyres are sort of half in the air like that, you've got nothing really to manoeuvre with.
No, funnily enough, Formula 1 tyres, it might be incredibly grippy, then they kind of need to be in contact with the ground to have any real effect. It's natural reaction to turn anyway, just as Buemi when his front tyres flew off and he tried to steer away from the ball. On board with then Jack Eater, he's in 14th ahead of his teammates at the moment, improving slightly on this lap, so it might bump him. Well, looking at how close things are, he's less than a 10th off of the top 10, so this might get him up into that top 10. We'll see what he can do. Gets a bit of a unintentional slipstream off Duncan, of course, and there we go. Does get Jack Eater up into 10th on a 119.277. Top 15 cars separated by 4 tenths of a second, with the entire field separated by just over 9 tenths. You kind of get this at Monza because it is such a simple circuit. Only 11 corners. Curva Grande, one of those, is completely flat out, so not really tons of places to gain time just purely on driving.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the sort of entry and exits of those 3 chicanes. That's where it really, decides it. And, particularly traction out turn 2 from the Rettifilio and the exit of Ascari. That's where a lot of time can be gained and lost. The Ascari is certainly one of the most dangerous chicanes on the F1 calendar. If you get it wrong, you can have a quick trip into the barrier, and your session is over. But yeah, looking out there at the moment, Midnight's time looking very competitive. I think there's a few drivers out there who are more than capable of getting into the 1-minute 18s. I mean, we're lapping far quicker than what we saw in the season 27 qualifying session, which was a overcast dry session, but we were in sort of well up in the 1-minute sort of 22s, 23s, I believe. So to show you how quickly the cars have got since then. But yeah, Xander and Juice, they're sort of becoming a bit of a constructor's dream team, because Juice seems to be a really solid worker of getting points in the lower part of the top 10, and then, Juice getting those big results at the front. So they're looking pretty formidable together in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, certainly. Last time out, we did say that Xander was the only driver to have scored points in every race. However, he did pick up a warning for not using the TAS system properly. You do get one of those, and then you get you get a 10-second penalty if you do it for a second time. But because the results were taken, you might remember that Gamer got disqualified on the final lap for not using 2 sets of tyres, despite the fact that he clearly had done. So the results were taken from the lap before that, and unfortunately for Xander, he was outside the points on that occasion, and after Will had had his 5-second penalty removed, that meant Xander did finish in 11th place. So that record is over, unfortunately for him, and we are on board then with Will LJ, kind of in a nice way. He was sort of mocked on the last game for having no points in the top tier, despite on occasions showing some good pace. He's been a revelation this last couple of races. He always seems to be there or thereabouts. Had a fantastic race last time out in Zandvoort, and judging by this, 7th place on a completely different track. Looks like maybe not for this season, but in the future, Will's definitely going to be one to watch on this platform.
Or maybe he's driving a Williams. Maybe he's starting out as a sort of Nicholas Latifi type character. Has a real hard time of it in the first season, but then sort of beds himself in. in this tier and starts picking up, solid results, and that's exactly what he's starting to show.
Yeah, definitely. I've just got to say, the Chucker brothers are from Rotherham. I'm from Doncaster, so close, but not quite there with my accent apparently. But Will LG's heading towards the finish line. Let's see what he's going to do on this lap. Can he improve? No, he cannot. Half a tenth down, and if that had been his fastest lap, he'd have been in 11th place right now, but he stays in 7th. But that is going to be it for him in this session. We are seeing a few drivers start to improve. One of them is a man who won not too long ago, Jordan, taking a victory this season, of course, as a reserve driver. He's back again in the Aston Martin, nearly running a bit wide there through Parabolica. Had to, I think, have a mini moment catching the car. Gets himself up into 5th place, so that is a very decent, respectable lap for him. We are starting to see a few green sector times, but, well, I was about to say we're not seeing any purples, and there we go. Midnight, 1:18.909, improves his time yet again, and M Short, who did win here in F3 the last time he raced here, he goes up into 3rd place. We said those Alpines were starting to look a bit better. 2nd and 3rd, you can't do much better than that.
No, you certainly can't. Just keeping an eye on Blizzard's progress. He's up by about 10th in Sector 1, about 10th down in Sector 2, so looking to improve, but doesn't look like he's got enough in the tank to sort of threaten pole unless he has an incredible Sector 3. Oh, and he's lost it, Parabolica. Oh, dearie me. Just took a bit too much speed and went hammering to the wall, and he's actually hit the pit exit out of frustration, surely. And that's going to be only P15 at best for Blizzard.
Yeah, it is, so not ideal whatsoever. Qualifying is over then, the checkered flag is out. Benjamin's got himself up into 2nd place. A fantastic lap in the McLaren, so it is a CRG 1-2 at the moment. What can BSR Duncan do as he heads towards the finish line now? Doesn't find any improvement there, stays in the 7th position. We've had Danico gets himself up into 3rd place. Great job from the Ferrari driver. We are starting to see a few more pretty decent times coming right now. Just seeing who else is heading towards the finish line. We've got both of the Aston Martins. Jordan comes into the pits. We'll see what Christmas can do as he heads towards the line. He gets himself up only into 15th in the end. Jack Eater decides if you can't beat them, join them. That's a fantastic impression of Blizzard coming through the final corner, except he's knocked his wheel off right through the final corner, so he's going to be 14th at best. Will LG heads towards the pits, and I'm not sure if we've got anyone else on a fast lap at the moment. Asakomi is improving. He gets himself up into 9th place. Casper, he's improving ever so slightly, so he might jump up the order. He goes into 4th, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, George's is down slightly, so did find 8 thousandths of a second, but not enough to make any change in his position. I think that is it for qualifying. We've got an AlphaTauri on pole position again, but not the one we've seen for the majority of this season.
Well, we've talked about Midnight's sort of release from the tension of early in the season. Now he's driving with a lot of freedom out there, and he's just underlined that after his great result at Zandvoort last week with a pole position here at Monza. I guess the only question is, Luke, how many of the drivers have compromised their setup and lost a few tenths as a result to have a better car set up for the start of the race, as we know going to be in the light rain?
Yeah, it definitely looks, if those at the top have made any compromises to their setup, they are very, very minor. These are the fastest times we've seen on the PS platform, but normally you see like the top 6 or 7 faster than F2 pole position. This time it's only the top 4. Again, that might be because of the simplicity of the track layout, meaning the gaps between the top tiers, and F2 still an incredibly fast tier, but some of those lower down does shrink ever so slightly. We'll have to wait and see, but it is Midnight on pole position. Benjamin in 2nd, Danico and Casper, the 1:19.005 for both of them. The Ferrari just ahead of the Mercedes. I'm sure the stewards didn't dare put that the other way round in Italy. Xander goes 5th. Georges, Leo, M Short, Duncan and Asakone round out the top 10. Jordan is outside of the top 10 despite being within a quarter of a second of pole position. And then it is used Will, Suso, Jackita, Christmas, Blizzard, Fusilo, Lars on his debut in the top tier, and Fede rounding out the 20 drivers. This is going to be a very, very intriguing race. Like you said, we normally get DRS trains around here. First few laps of the race, depending on how heavy the rain is going to be, we only know it is going to be light rain, and I know you guys can't see it at the moment. It looks very light indeed, so I think once it stops raining, it won't take too long to get to the dry tyres. There'll be no DRS, presumably, for the first few laps. Might mean we get a few more gaps opening up in the field than we would usually expect around here.
Well, according to the race director, some drivers are on the not on inters, interestingly. So we'll find out in a second if that's correct. But yeah, I think one of the things I've noticed is that pretty much, apart from George's, the whole of the top 6 in the championship are not in the top 8. So they've got some work to do outside the top 10. But it could be a big opportunity for George's to put himself in title contention if those behind him have trouble in the mid-pack.
Yeah, certainly. George's has had 2 podiums so far this season. That's the tied most with the rest of the top 4 in the championship. Yost, Duncan and Blizzard all with 2 podiums. We've seen Jordan get on a podium as well. Gamer and Midnight, the other drivers, to step on the rostrum so far this season. Will we get some new names doing that? Will we get new names standing on the top step of the podium here at Monza? We will have to wait and see what the drivers can do around this historic circuit in the Monza Park. 3.6 miles, the fastest circuit in Formula 1. It is definitely going to be fast and furious action around here. 2 DRS zones, and everyone is on a set of dry tyres. It is raining, but not enough to make any real difference to the track conditions.
Wow, that is... we'll see if the rain gets harder. Just having a look at what the forecast is supposed to be. It's going to be light rain for 15 minutes, but apparently that's not enough to warrant dry work. I mean, if it gets heavier, it's going to be absolute chaos in the pit lane. But I have seen this on rare occasion in the past, but don't often see this where it's raining at the start. I mean, it doesn't look like there's too much surface water, but it's definitely going to be a little bit treacherous, especially those on the mediums, because they'll take a little bit longer to warm up, so they'll have to be quite careful early on. But that changes things, Luke, doesn't it? Because we thought we were going to get intermediates and then a transition to the dry compounds, but because they're starting on these tires, this means they still have to use 2 different compounds.
Yes, and obviously it means that those in the top 10 are starting on the tyres that they qualified on. So anyone who did do those 2 laps, maybe thinking, oh, well, it doesn't matter too much, we'll get a fresh set of tyres. It's not quite worked out the way they would have expected. But as we've said before, tyre wear not too much around here. We'll be expecting those on the soft tyres, presuming the rain doesn't get any harder, of course. We'll be expecting them to pit round about anywhere between lap 8 to 11. Those on the mediums, as the game actually says 10 to 12, but seeing as it's AWS, maybe take that with a pinch of salt, especially the 2-stop strategy. Those on the mediums probably coming in round about lap 15 to lap 17 to get rid of those and put the soft tyres on. But like you said, this really changes stuff, and I wonder if these damp conditions are why Yost, Suso, Lars and Fede outside of the top 10 have gone for the soft tyres, just because they'll warm up quicker. As there's a demonstration, Jordan, he's around on the parade lap.
Yeah, well, yeah. Parabolica in particular is going to be quite treacherous by the looks of it, but yeah, he's on the medium tyres, a perfect example of what we were talking about. So yeah, those on the mediums, I think off the line, they're going to struggle, I think, at least for the first lap or 2. But it will come back to them, because the softs will, they'll wear out fairly quickly, particularly those in the top 10 who are on used tyres. So, they'll be coming in for another set of tyres, before the end of lap 9, 10. But here we go then. This should be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it should be. Fede just coming into that final slot. He does have a 5-second penalty to be added on to his time at the end of this race for the collision with Asacombe last time around. So he's got plenty of work to do as we do wait for the lights to come on here at Monza. 5 lights. Quite a long hold there, and we are underway, and it looks like Benjamin's got a better start than the car next to him. So again, deja vu, and McLaren leading at the start of this race, and into turn 1 it is going to be Benjamin, then Midnight. Dan Irko coming under a bit of pressure from Leo in the background. The Alpine trying to throw his nose up the inside. Everyone, especially in the middle, they're going to be almost at a stop in those cars, but it is Benjamin, Midnight, Leo, Dan Irko, Xander and M-Short. The Alpines have had a fantastic start to this race. M-Short trying to go down the inside through Curva Grande. That's going to leave the Red Bull on the inside line, but in the end, M-Shot's got enough of an overlap. The 2 Mercedes getting pretty close together. Duncan and Casper, and Casper's trying to go around the outside of multiple cars, and he's around in the Mercedes, just avoids touching the barrier there, but he's going to drop all the way to the back of the field. It's been a superb start for Benjamin in the McLaren. Apart from that incident with Casper, it looks like everyone has managed to get through the first lap cleanly. We'll see what the position changes are now. Leo up 4 positions, M-Shot up 3, Lars up 5. I want whatever those Alpines have got to start this race. They've been absolutely fantastic.
I know, all sorts of different starts. Casper and Georges just couldn't get off the line whatsoever. They got almost swamped into the Rettifilo. Then Casper came back strongly, and then unfortunately had that contact at the Roggio. which has now put him right to the back of the field, but a long way to go, of course. But yeah, Benjamin, I watched his start, absolutely nailed it. I mean, Midnight had a decent start himself, but yeah, Benjamin was just absolutely on it, and that's why he's in the lead. But Midnight is starting to come back at him now.
Yeah, and of course there will be DRS at the end. Well, at the end of this lap, it will be activated. First time they'll be able to use it is on the run down to Ascari in lap 3, but you probably won't see too many drivers attempt an overtake. There's a bit of a gap, I think, appeared in the field here. Look at this, on board with Xander. The top 5 drivers have already got away by 2 seconds. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a tiny bridge.
No, just saw contact between Fede and Christmas at the Rettifilio. Very clumsy there from Fede, unfortunately. Although, after looking at it, they were sort of side by side. I think Christmas went for it, and yeah, kind of didn't leave each other enough space there, and contact was inevitable.
Yeah, Fede has very light front wing damage, only 3%, so doesn't need to worry too much about that. Yost is now ahead of Jordan. He's up into 10th place, and if I'm not mistaken, he is the lead car on fresh tyres, so not doing too bad at this moment in time. Is our championship leader. We'll see how he can stretch his way up through the order. Well, presumably throughout this race, you might be imagined he'll be able to go a lap or 2 longer than some of the others, and his teammate is proving to be quite a cork in the bottle at this moment in time. I wonder if Xander maybe went for a bit more of an aggressive wet setup. You can't really tell from the rear wings on this game what setups the drivers have gone for, as here comes Georges trying to get alongside down the inside into the Parabolica. You don't see too many drivers go for a move there, and Asacombe trying to get on the power to get the cut back, and you can just see him fighting with that Ferrari.
Juice spins! Juice has spun at the exit of Parabolica. Pirouette, beautiful ballet action from Juice, but highly costly. The championship leader has now dropped all the way down to P17. It was almost like he was watching the battle between Asacombe and George ahead of him and kind of forgot, well, I have to get this exit right, and he spun round. And wow, I mean, we saw that dramatic spin for Blizzard in Spa, of course, and we've had a similar situation for a championship leader this week.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want a lesson of how treacherous these conditions are, I think those 10 seconds say it all. For drivers who want dry tyres, who wanted to use the grip, well, in these slippery conditions at the moment, it is going to be very difficult. Braking distances are extended ever so slightly, so some drivers might be a bit brave and go for moves that you wouldn't expect, like we saw Georges do. As we've got Blizzard and Yost battling here, the top 2 in the championship for 16th and 17th. Red Bull versus Alpha Tauri, and it's the Alpha Tauri just coming out on top on those medium tyres, but here's Yost. He's going to try and fight back. He's got the DRS coming downhill here through Mark, you remembered the name of that corner, and I forgot it already when you told me it earlier. It does actually have a name, that tiny little kink before the Scarlet.
Yes, Seraglio, I think it's called. But I think I've probably bastardised the pronunciation of that, despite being part Italian myself. You can tell from the accent, clearly. But yeah, Juice getting the move done on Blizzard there.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, and now Duncan's around. Puts a wheel on the white line, copying. Anything you can do, I can do better, says Duncan. He's down to 11th place there, just as it was looking like he was starting to put pressure on Xander. They're getting a bit impatient to get these overtakes done, obviously, and you're just seeing it spinning the cars around.
Oh, no, I mean, these are really treacherous conditions, because it's almost like, well, you're on these dry tyres and you're not quite sure where to apply the throttle, because, you know, on the inters you have a really good understanding. Yeah, you know, I can't do that here because I'm on the inters. That won't work. But in this, the instinct on the dry tyres is to go full throttle like that. But these are conditions the drivers won't face most of the season. But you know, those at the front seem to be handling it the most, because they now have a 3-second advantage standard. But yeah, we've seen Parabolica's been the most dangerous corner so far. We've seen 3 big spins there so far.
Yeah, certainly. The drivers, just to give you a clue what the conditions are like, they're doing 127s, 128s at the moment. You'd be expecting about 4 or 5 seconds faster at least in dry conditions when you consider the fuel load. Perhaps even a bit more, but we're probably just a few seconds faster than the point. We'd expect the drivers to be using intermediate tyres, and like we said might happen, this has caused a bit of a field spread. Xander just doesn't seem to have the pace in these conditions at the moment. We saw Duncan get a bit impatient and spin it round, trying to get ahead of him last time around, as now Dan Aiko goes faster on a 127.675. The times will improve. They won't be using the tyres as much in these conditions, and they'll be getting used to them. As here comes Georges, he's going to be able to streak straight past Xander. Down the inside he goes. He is up into 6th place as Suso gets ahead of Jordan as well. Jordan, lead car on those medium tyres, could definitely be one to watch at the end.
Yes, absolutely. He'll be able to go quite deep into the race, and this sort of pace will actually help the tyre wear if they don't slide around too much, because they're going, quite a bit slower than they normally would be. But yeah, I'm noticing a lot of the drivers are struggling with battery management. A lot of them hitting the limits of that. Xander in particular has been struggling. That's why George's move was fairly comfortable, because he was like hitting the limit of the battery before he could even get out of the parabolic, as Duncan regained one of the places he lost earlier, getting ahead of Jordan. Jordan in particular is really struggling in these conditions. Hasn't spun like some of the other drivers, but yeah, just not able to put any pace down at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a split with the battery management, because when you look at the top 3 drivers here, you've got Benjamin, 82% as he's using some. Midnight, he's basically going to hit 100% as he goes through Parabolica. And Leo, he's 75% roughly, so they're doing a fantastic job. Dan Airco and M Short as well. So these top 5 drivers, they're streaking away, and they're using their battery well as well. I wonder if this is a bit of follow the leader, which sometimes happens in the wet conditions, because Benjamin, he's the first man to see what the conditions are like every single time. And Midnight, Leo, and Dan Airco and the others can just sort of react to what he's doing and put the brakes on when he brakes, put the throttle on when he does, whereas the others, they can't obviously see what Benjamin's doing. They're too far behind at the moment.
Yeah, I think Benjamin's pace is probably not as strong as what Midnight and Leo's would be if they could clear him, because he is sort of not able to get away. Midnight had a bit of a moment coming out of the Retafilio in terms of getting onto the power, and that allowed Leo to kind of get close to him a little bit, but has recovered that nicely. Nice exit out of the second chicane by Midnight, allowing him to get right onto the back of that McLaren once again.
Yeah, but can't do anything through the 2 Lesbos really, unless the driver in front makes a slight mistake. Will LG gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I imagine he's got things wrong at the Rogier chicane. I think of Tifosi. They're enjoying how this race is going at the moment. Dan Airco in 4th. Asa Combs just got ahead of Xander into 7th position, but you can see how much time Xander's losing. He's already 2 seconds behind George's. We're not used to seeing gaps like this in the field. The rain's still coming down ever so slightly at the moment. We're expecting it to happen for at least the first 15 minutes. So at this current pace, first 10 into lap 11 perhaps, maybe a tiny bit longer. Who knows how things are going. Will out of the race through Ascari. Will that cause a safety car?
Well, yeah, he has gone off. That's a very standard crash here at Ascari. First retirement of the race, and Midnight getting very close to the back, trying to get into the mirrors of Benjamin, force a lock-up maybe. We see that tactic often employed, particularly in Formula 2. We saw that quite a lot in the real-life weekend of action at Monza. But yeah, Will LG, just a passenger in these conditions once that exit went horribly wrong for him.
Yeah, nothing he can do, and he is out of the race, unfortunately. At this moment in time, we've just seen M Short get his way up ahead of Dan Airco as well. So the Alpines scoring points last time out. They've got a bit of a taste for it now, and they are loving things up into 3rd and 4th place. And Midnight no longer putting pressure on Benjamin. He's coming under a bit of pressure here from Midnight, who's starting to drift his car around. Only driver with damage at this moment in time is Fede. He's got a tiny bit of damage on his front wing. So apart from obviously what we've seen Will do, it has been, in terms of hitting the wall, we've seen plenty of spins and near misses. They've been fairly clean in these conditions.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice, but Denerco lost the place to Shorts. Alpine having a brilliant race at the moment. P3 and P4 at the moment, so by far their best result they're up for at the moment as we get to the end of lap 7. Soft runners, especially those on the used softs in the top 10, they'll be thinking probably about a pit stop in the not too distant future. Probably a few laps away before we get that. And Daneco struggles on the power. So the Alpines are really coming at Midnight now. But I think if Midnight dropped out of DRS, I think he wouldn't have too much chance of defending against Leo behind him.
No, certainly, but at the moment, that DRS is helping him. Benjamin leading, Midnight in 2nd, Leo in 3rd, a CRG 1-2-3 with one of CRG's latest. Oh, slight mistake from Midnight coming out of the Retafilio, and that is the only chance Leo needs. Down the inside he goes. He's up into 2nd. That is how quickly things can change here in Formula 1. Midnight looked as though he was putting Benjamin under all sorts of pressure, and M Short there nearly having to go at the AlphaTauri as well. Midnight into 3rd place, Leo into 2nd. We'll see if he'll be able to work his way past the McLaren.
Yeah. I mean, just a little. I'm just going to mention Christmas had an enormous moment out of the Parabolica, similar to what we've seen, but he didn't spin the car, went on the grass, saved it. It was a fantastic save.
Yeah, certainly, and just to correct Taz, Benjamin He's no longer a reserve driver. He's now a full-time driver. He's got no points so far this season. He's on for 16 if things stay as they are, and that is a big if. Fastest lap at the moment is George's, but given the fact that we've expected it to get dry and the tyres, and we'll see drivers on fresh tyres at the end, and the fuel load is going down, you can kind of ignore that for this moment in time. But yeah, Benjamin now leading from Leo. Slight little drift there from Benjamin coming through the parabolic. It's like watching Formula 1 cars in the 50s and the 60s where power sliding was pretty common, and Leo's not had a great exit here, and there's a chance maybe for Midnight to fight back. Both of these cars are going to have the DRS, of course. It just looks as though Leo's got a tiny bit more straight line speed in the Alpine, and he's able to hold on to that position. So Leo there now stays in second. Further down the field, you've got Lars. He works his way past Jordan, who is still really struggling with these conditions, as we've got another yellow flag. And that is Christmas. He might have won here last time in season 27. He's having an absolute nightmare of a race so far.
Yeah, he saved it the previous lap, but he couldn't do it that time in the Parabolica, which claims yet another notable driver in what is extremely treacherous conditions. But yeah, you've got to give Benjamin a lot of credit. He's been under enormous pressure from the very start of the race when he had that brilliant start and got ahead of Midnight. And now he was able to hold off Midnight lap after lap. Can he do the same for Leo? Well, based on that exit from the second Lesmo, definitely can. Far better exit than Leo there, and I think Midnight may even have half a stiff of Leo, but no, I think it's going to settle down once again into the Ascari.
Yeah, I think these drivers are pretty much, because of the conditions, the ones at the front aren't using any ERS through the majority of the lap. They're using a bit coming out of Ascari. As you can see there, the green arrows popping up on that battery symbol just to get a bit of a boost. And then obviously down the main straight, because that is the best overtaking opportunity in these conditions. You can make a move work into the Ruggier as well, but normally if that happens, you see the drivers lining it up as again Leo sliding all over the place, and he's giving up on these soft tyres. He is coming into the pit lane, gets it slowed down in time. This will put him out round about where Jack Eater is, and we're seeing Dan Erko coming in as well.
Yeah, there's a faux seat standing up in the main grandstand as they watch one of their drivers enter the pit lane. Yeah, this is about the kind of time the soft drivers, especially those on the use, will be pitting, and then they'll be going on to mediums for the end of the Grand Prix. And, you know, of course, we're not going to get that wet transition. But, of course, as we've seen earlier, the medium runs were struggling in these conditions, so it will take him a bit longer than he would like normal to get the temperatures up. So he's going to have to just be taking it a little bit easy. And that could play into the hands of those on the softs who may choose to respond straight away.
Oh, Duncan and Xander getting close into the Ruggier chicane. Where have we seen a Mercedes and Red Bull get close into that chicane before? Well, indeed, another chicane on this circuit. But Xander losing out. Oh, and I think he's in big trouble now. Slides his way off at the first Lesbo. We saw Asacombe actually go off at the first chicane as well. There's definitely been some sort of shenanigans happening in that midfield battle, and Xander just waiting there, not happy whatsoever. He is not having a good day as the reigning F2 champion at this moment in time. And I think Benjamin's coming in this lap. Look at the gap he's pulled out, 1.4 seconds ahead. All of a sudden, using up a bit more ERS. I think we're seeing the McLaren coming into the pits and trying to cover off the undercut.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to do. Leo's, oh no, yes, he carries on, but yeah, he's using a lot of battery now. He's trying to get, look at that, fastest lap of the race. He's definitely been given the hurry up by his team, that is for sure. Fast lap of the race at this point of it. George is in a solid P4. He's actually, apart from Benjamin, he's actually lapping fast and short at Midnight at the moment as Suso, Hazakome and Fede come in. Just having a, well, Blizzard sets fast laps. So yeah, I think the rain is starting to ease off just a little bit more. The lap times are starting to come down. And be interesting to see what kind of sector times Leo is doing on his first lap in anger after putting on those mediums. But yeah, I think given the lap time we just saw from Benjamin, I think he will be coming in the next lap to directly respond to that.
I mean, Christmas has absolutely smashed it. 126. We're still seeing a tiny bit of rain. You can see on the halo here of George's. And I swear, as soon as I said that, it dried up. It disappeared. I think we're safe to say it's dry conditions now, folks. Won't be too long before we see everyone coming to the pits. Well, everyone from the soft tyres at least come in and put on a set of mediums to get them towards the end of the race. Midnight's responding to Benjamin. He's now pulled out a bit of a gap over M Short. Things are starting to stretch out at the front of the field. When Leo has done a full lap, we will tell you what his times were like to some of those other drivers. He's currently stuck behind Jack Eater. He has got the DRS on the run down to Ascari, and the Haas has run out of his ERS, I think, so this could give him a chance. Down the inside he goes. You're not going to see many more straightforward overtakes than that. Leo, despite going a bit deep, gets himself up into 12th place as the top 3 drivers come into the pits, and I think we'll be seeing a few more as well. Georges stays out and sets that fastest lap. He's clearly enjoying these softs still.
Yeah, Leo purple in sector 2 thanks to that DRS on the back of the Haas. And I think he could have half a chance here of leaping out of Benjamin. Benjamin's just coming out of the pit exit, but I think Leo's going to get it.
124.5. He's absolutely smashing the fastest lap of the race. These mediums are still good, whereas the softs are slightly worn out, of course. And the bad news for Benjamin is he's going to come out behind Jaquita as well. Dan Eco also jumps midnight, so the first lap might have been a bit hairy for those on the medium tyres, but this has worked out fantastically. And we did say first 10 laps we'll see rain, and it may stop any time after that. It stopped straight after that. And all of a sudden, things are looking good for Leo. He does have 1 lap older tyres. Don't expect that to be too much of an issue, though. He's got to just absolutely fly now and take advantage of the fact that possibly his main rival for the win is stuck behind a Haas on old mediums.
Yeah, I think Jaquita is going to struggle to keep Benjamin behind. But yeah, if Leo can just eke out that 1 second, that could make all the difference. He'll be catching Fusilo in a few laps as well. But yeah, here comes Benjamin. It's going to be slightly more difficult for him. No, he can't, because Jaquita had the DRS as well. So Benjamin couldn't get past him. But that fact that Jaquita is still staying within a second, though, will still help Benjamin just a little bit. Danico, yeah. So Danico's in a sort of net P3 at the moment. So Midnight's got some work to do. Yeah,
Georges coming into the pits now. He will come out behind all of this train, I believe. And I think Casper, who after his early spin has been quietly doing his own thing, but he decides to stay out a bit longer. 124 and then a 123 from Blizzard. These guys that have started the race on the mediums, that have been able to hang on, aren't looking, well, we might see a bit of an undercut attempt. Well, a bit of a comeback through the field, I should say, later on in this race. It's just whether they've lost too much time in the first part on these set of mediums, because Jordan is only in at 5.7 seconds ahead of Leo. Georges does come out behind M Short. Benjamin did get that move done, and crucially, is still within DRS range of the Alpine. That could be important later on in this race. A few more battles are happening as drivers sorting themselves out after the pit stops. Lars and Asacombe battling for 13th position. Lars getting the better of the Ferrari driver for now, and Fede and Crispus battling. Crispus still out there on the older medium tyres. I imagine lap 15, the earliest we'll be seeing these drivers pit to put on the softs.
Yeah, well, maybe 16 or 17, because you know, softs will go like 10 laps easily. So yeah, they might even come in at slightly, yeah, 16. I think 16 sort of you know, early enough, I think, so it won't be too long. But yeah, at the moment, Luke, the way it's going without a late safety car, Juice and Blizzard at least are unlikely to score points.
Yeah, certainly. Joost, you can see he's come out of the pits. He's down in 16th. Blizzard, if he pits now, he'll be coming out round about where Joost and Crispus are as well. So this is not good news for him. And you can imagine, actually, Joost will get a bit further away. Casper comes into the pit. Fusilio coming in as well. That is very early off a set of the medium tyres.
Oh, very. But, you know, maybe he's confident on tyres. Oh, and there's a big crash at Parabolica again. Asacombe spinning round. And unfortunately, a car contacted him. I don't know who. Yeah, I think it was the Williams of, yeah, Fede made contact in Parabolica spin. Nothing he could do. Wrong place, wrong time as Christmas retires as well. Has he crashed out the Parabolica, or has he come into the pit lane to retire?
He's coming to the pits.
Yeah, he's coming to the pit to retire. So yeah, horrible luck for Fede. Just wrong place at the wrong time. And that's yet another incident Parabolica. That isn't a corner, I have to admit. I expected to see most of the incidents, you know, Ascari and the second chicane. They usually see most of the incidents here, but Parabolica has been an absolute nightmare. Maybe it's a new handling model.
Yeah, maybe that slight little tweak. I think they said the tweak was mainly going to be at low speed corners. I want to call Parabolica low speed, but there we go. It does seem to be causing quite a few problems for the drivers tonight. We're on board then with M Short in a net 4th position at the moment. They've kept it incredibly clean with penalties. It's only Xander who has got himself a 3-second penalty. If you want to see how your driver's doing, exclamation mark penalty, and then the position, what they are out on track, and that will tell you how many warnings they have got, as well as a bit harsh here from S Watch It. Christmas is cancelled. He's not been having a fantastic season, it's fair to say. As Blizzard, he's into the pits as well. I think they know these mediums are going to last quite well, because these softs, I should say, because it's still overcast conditions. Even though the track has dried out, it's not exactly boiling and sweltering out there here at Monza at the moment. We've got a track temperature of about 29 degrees.
Yeah, it's a very pleasant temperature compared to what you normally see at Monza, as Casper chases down Suzo and Juice in the battle for P11. which is just outside. And here comes Casper making a late lunge, and actually Suso got boxed in by the Red Bull just a little bit, but actually managed to maintain the position. And behind Fuselo and Blizzard on those softs. Look at that, Fuselo and Blizzard going side by side out of the rest of Filio, and Blizzard's going to pick up P15. So Blizzard is going to be a fun driver to watch in these closing laps, because he's got plenty of cars ahead of him. But realistically, with the times ahead of him, he's probably gonna only get up to P10 at the end, unless some other drivers have itch. Oh yeah, of course Shakita will be pitting later on as well. So yeah, Lars and Juice probably going to be aiming for P10 and P9, which is not where they want to be.
No, there's definitely still the bottom parts of the points that they can aim for. For Yost, he's got that 11-point buffer in the championship at the moment, but we're going to see Georgia's catch up ever so slightly, I'd imagine. Duncan's not going to catch up dramatically, to be perfectly fair, but yeah, the top guys at the championship not putting in a superb performance at the moment. Jack Eater comes into the pits, then Jordan does as well, so that's the last drivers off the medium, so that means Leo now leads the race, but for how much longer? He's got Benjamin all over the back of him. Midnight not too far behind. Things are getting very close in this Italian Grand Prix. 12 laps to go then. All three of these, well, two of these have led the race at certain points, and I suppose you could say Midnight, because he did start on pole position, got jumped by the McLaren on the run down towards turn 1. Where is Jordan going to come out the pits relative to all these guys battling? He's in 11th place, ahead of Blizzard and ahead of Fusilio, so watch out for him at the end as well. 8th position, possibly maybe 7th, if they get a bit of a move on, is still possible for some of these cars on the soft tyres. Now, we saw Benjamin have fantastic pace earlier on when he was in the lead of this race. How is he going to do behind Leo? Because it did look as though the Alpine was very rapid in a straight line. But now you can see here, Benjamin is closing up slightly into Ascavi. And now that they've got confidence in the tyres and the conditions, they're using a bit more of their battery. They're not afraid to put it on that tiny bit earlier.
I have to say, though, Midnight's looking very, very good in third place. The way he's sort of steering through Ascari looked much better than two cars ahead. Just want to say, Leo is 18th in the championship. Benjamin is 21st in the championship. Midnight is 11th in the championship. Danico is 19th in the championship. And M. Short is 20th in the championship. So this is unbelievable. Complete reverse race in a way.
Yeah, it's like watching Formula V or something, as we're nearly going to go 3 wide here on the run down towards turn 1. Benjamin gets ahead of Leo, or does he? The Alpine's going to fight his way on the inside. You can get 2 cars through Rettifilio side by side, and Benjamin comes out ahead. He takes the lead in this Italian Grand Prix. Is Leo going to be able to fight back, though, on the run down towards the Roggia chicane? You've got Midnight, Danico, and M. Short not too far in as well. Which way is Leo going to do in the end? Sits back, decides to live to fight another day. So Benjamin now back into the lead of this race, and I think Midnight just sort of got his way boxed in there, because he had a fantastic exit through Parabolica as well. Just had nowhere to go.
Yeah. Midnight, though, is just waiting for that opportunity. The soft runners are beginning to absolutely slaughter those medium runners. Blizzard just getting past Casper, and Juice has been overtaken by Jordan. So now they're going to be all of these guys are going to be chasing down Lars. I don't envy Lars' position. He's probably thinking, yeah, I'm having quite a relaxing race. Then suddenly he looks at his screen. Oh no, here comes Jordan, Blizzard, and Fuselo, and all the others on the softs. I'm going to have a pretty tough final 10 laps here.
Yeah, Lars is going to have to drive the widest Alfa Romeo possible here. Blizzard made that move. I don't think I've ever seen a move done out of the second Lesbo so quickly. He was pretty much alongside Benjamin spun.
Oh no, another one.
Well, how many drivers are going to lose it at Parabolica? Benjamin goes round, taps the wall lightly with his rear wing. Don't think he'll have too much damage. Just back towards the front of the race. Midnight now down the inside of Leo. Leo's time at the front of this race was short-lived there. Midnight takes the lead. Leo up into second. Danico third. M. Short fourth. George's fifth. Benjamin is in sixth. Duncan seventh. Jordan, the lead car, on those soft tyres. He's about, 6 seconds behind Benjamin at this moment in time? 10 seconds behind George's with 10 laps to go. It's going to be a big ask, but I'd say top 6 is definitely on. If a few drivers start getting penalties, who knows? Maybe we could see these soft runners get further up the field.
Well, I mean, Juice has fallen out of the top 10, so Blizzard could actually recover some positions here and actually cut that championship lead, perhaps a little bit more than we thought 5 laps ago. Leo now being chased down, or chasing down Midnight, I should say. I'm pretty sure Benjamin was an unforced error. I don't think he made contact with anyone, which wouldn't be a surprise at all, because we've seen so many drivers have unforced errors as Blizzard, with consummate ease, once again, just out of the exit of the second Lesmo, gets ahead of Lars, and now it's going to be between Jordan and Blizzard. But I think if Jordan and Blizzard are smart, at least for the time being, the next few laps, they won't battle each other, they'll hunt down Duncan ahead.
Yeah, Blizzard is just outside of that DRS range, so if he gets back into that, that would be a real big favour for him. Here comes Leo on the back of Midnight. Is he going to be close enough to have a go into the Vettelio chicane? Not showing any signs of moving for the move, almost to go straight into the back of the Alpha Tauri there. That compromises his line through that first chicane. It means Midnight's probably not going to have to worry too much for the rest of the lap. Dan Aiko not close enough to do anything about it at this moment in time. Lars closes up to the back of Blizzard. He's still in 10th place, and unlike what we saw Jordan and Blizzard do in Fusilio, now that these medium runners have sort of tightened up a bit, they've got used to the tyres, and his tyres are getting a bit older, he's finding it a tiny bit harder than those to fight his way through the field, though. He might have a chance on Casper here, coming towards the second chicane. Casper, he's a wise old fox, though. He's been around for a while in PSGL and F1 Esports, of course. He holds on to that position, so we might still see Lars hold on to a point here.
Yes, he has got medium runners behind him at the moment, so he'll be probably thinking, well, please hold off that soft run a few, 15 more laps before those tyres sort of go away from him. Then I should have a chance hanging on to this place. But yeah, the battle for the top three. There's Devosio going absolutely wild, cheering on Danny every single corner, trying to will him on to win this Italian Grand Prix.
I think if they could get away with it, they'd be throwing banana skins at the Alpha Tauri and the Alpine at the moment to try and get Daneko up towards the top of the order. Let's not forget, I do believe Leo is an Italian driver as well, and Alpha Tauri is an Italian team, so it's looking pretty good at this moment in time. If you're one of the Tifosi, 8 laps to go. Xander gets another penalty. He has had a race to forget here at the Italian Grand Prix, and this time Midnight gets a bit of a worse exit out of that first chicane, using some of that ERS to just try and ensure that you're safe into the second chicane, into the Voggia, and it looks like he has done that at this moment in time. Battles further down the field. Casper still behind Yost. Pre-season, Casper looked good, just looked really unlucky. He got points in the first 2 races, but since then, if I just quickly get the results up, he finished 12th in Belgium, 12th in Netherlands, where if it wasn't for that yellow flag glitch, he might have got up further, and contact as well. Looks like he's in 12th place as well. It's sort of fizzling away as he makes a bit of a mistake there, coming out of the second chicane.
Yes, I mean, he just needs a bit of fortune, but again, it's in some ways it is down to the qualifying. I don't think he's qualifying as high as he really expects, and I think that's bringing him into these battles. Of course, it didn't help on the first lap. He had that poor start, which dropped him a bit down. Then he had to try to recover that, had contact with another car, which can happen at that second chicane quite often when 2 cars go side by side like that. It only takes a slight misjudgment for either party to spin 1 car around, and yeah, it's just not working out for Casper at the moment.
Yeah, but as Midnight can tell you, all it takes sometimes is 1 good result, and it all starts coming good. Midnight still leading this race, 7 laps to go. Leo not able to get closer, and the good news for Midnight here, and I don't think we've talked about this too much, he's got 2-lap fresher tyres at this moment in time. That is translating to about 5% on the rears and 4 to 5% on the front tyres as well, so this is going to be pretty handy for him. They're not going to be in any trouble with the tyre wear as Asakone retires in the pit lane. 1 Ferrari is out of this race, so they'll be able to put all their attention behind the other one, Daneko, at this moment in time. With those fresher tyres, that's just going to help Midnight the longer this race goes on. I don't think Leo and Daneko will get into tyre trouble, but that tiny extra bit of advantage could just help him out of the corners, especially coming out of the Vettelio and the Voggia chicane, the slow corners where you need those rear tyres working absolutely fantastically.
Yeah, Fusilo just had a nightmare of Roger chicane, spun the car, now he's dropped down to P15, so Casper no longer has a threat from him behind, and the fact that he's on those much older softs, he's going to suffer a lot of pain in the closing laps. But yeah, further up, Jordan had an absolutely horrible Roger chicane, didn't spin the car but fell out of DRS range. Duncan had actually got into DRS range, and now that's put him into the clutches of Blizzard, who had a much better lap than him and is now right on the back of him.
Yeah, we'll go to that battle fairly soon, and to be honest, Lars is only 2 seconds behind those. I'm surprised how well he's done on that set of the medium tyres. Daneko, Leo and Midnight in the reverse order. You've got M-Short there as well.
Juiced.
Yeah, and here does come Juice on the back of Lars, and DRS wide open. The Red Bull driver wants to keep that championship lead as well. How much he's losing, as little as possible here. And Juice gets his way up into 10th position, sliding the rears ever so slightly. Blizzard can't quite get close enough to Jordan to really pull off a realistic overtake here. As look at Leo all over the back of Midnight, coming through the first Lesbo, sliding the car, drifting that Alpine around. That's not going to help his rear tyres too much. He's got plenty of ERS. The one down towards the Scarvi, unless the car ahead makes a mistake or you've got an extreme grip difference, isn't really long enough to make an overtake, as it's not a massive braking zone, only down to 4th gear, about 110 miles per hour there at the apex, so about 175 kilometers per hour. I'm not sure where Leo's going to get this move done, because it doesn't look like he's got really close at the moment, and now you can see Dan Irko all over the back of him going into the Parabolica.
Yeah, we will hear an absolute mighty roar from the stands if Dan Irko can get this move done. Another, and Suso is out. He's crashed at the exit of Ascari, slightly deeper actually than what
Safety car
did. Safety car. Oh goodness me! And George has reacted immediately, but got a 5-second penalty straight away. Oh, if he hadn't done that mistake, that could have been an absolutely brilliant decision. But with that 5-second penalty, I'm not sure if he'll serve it straight away. No, he won't serve it straight. Oh, is he? He's being held? No, that was a glitch. So I don't think he served it straight away. I don't think the game reacts that quickly.
No, it doesn't.
It's already in the pit lane, so yeah, he wouldn't have got that. So, oh, that's so gutting for George's, because he'll have that tyre advantage for the last few laps, but it's probably going to mean nothing because he'll get that 5-second penalty with the field being so closely packed. So I don't think, I'm not sure if any of the leaders will pit, but we'll see. They, I think they'll have the gap to pit, so I'd be surprised if they didn't. And because of because of those multiple runs they did in qualifying on the single sets, they should all have a fresh set of softs to use.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if I was M-Short, he's got a 10-second gap to Duncan back behind him. I think M-Short's got Leo ahead of him, so that's the double stack situation. What do you do if your teammate comes into the pits? Do you try and hold it out on the mediums? We're not going to have too long to go, as they have not caught up to the safety car. They just slowed down ever so slightly there. The safety car, you can just see on the track map, is just waiting, coming out of the final chicane, well, the first chicane at this moment in time, coming through the Curva Grande. There it is, on the left-hand side. You won't be able to get the Aston Martin safety car now.
Oh, look at this.
Tracks as Midnight stays on, and yeah, because the top three stayed out there, M-Short thought, I've got a 10-second gap behind me. I might as well come into the pits, put a fresh set of softs on. Yeah,
but what's Jordan going to do? He's still got relatively fresh softs, and Blizzard as well. So yeah, Jordan and Blizzard stay out and have gained positions as a result of M-Short pitting. But M-Short will be thinking, well, can I get ahead of George's? No, George's has come back in to serve his time penalty. Yeah, that's smart from George's actually, to get that time penalty served now. And he'll be hoping he's got another, well, what tyres will he get on? He might have to come in again and do a third stop to get back onto those fresh softs. So this is very interesting now. Suddenly, Luke, this has swung into the favour of those soft runners, particularly those of Juice, who are probably going to be settling for P10, now has an opportunity to really gain some points. And particularly Jordan and Blizzard, their tyres will definitely last to the end. They'll be able to attack the top four and maybe get a highly unlikely podium compared to what we saw early on in the race.
Yeah, certainly. I'm loving these race direction decisions by the game. It seems to be the earlier the crash happens in the race, the less likely it is to get a safety car, because obviously Will lost it at that part of the track, no safety car, and then with 5 and a bit laps to go, Suso does the same thing, and the safety car comes out. We saw something similar at Bahrain, of course, with a late safety car that caused absolute carnage, and here we go, M-Short, he's the lead car on a set of the fresh soft tyres at this moment in time. We'll go through the tyre wear for those towards the front of the field, and they're all similar. All those on the mediums and the softs, the most worn tyres are in the 30 to 40% mark at this moment in time. M-Short's only 9%, of course. His most worn, that rear left tyre, which takes a hammering amount here because of all the traction zones through the Rettifilio and the Roggia. How quickly is he going to be able to get through the field? How quickly will we see the safety car come into the pits? Because it is staying out for one more lap, I imagine. Although we are seeing Fede is still a long, long way back off the back of the field. These are coming towards the Rettifilio. He's coming through Ascari. I imagine it will be this time around. And if it is, well, like I say, lap 25, they're not going to have any DRS, are they?
No, I don't think we'll see DRS. But, I'm very intrigued to see how good M-Short's softs are compared to the two soft runners ahead. Because, Blizzard and Jordan's tyre wear will be, not too far away from being past their best in terms of outright performance. So M Short, if he can get those tyres working straight away, he could absolutely sieve his way through to the podium. But yeah, it depends how hard Jordan and Blizzard will be trying to attack Duncan as well. But yeah, Jordan and Blizzard are not going to have those optimum soft tyres to attack the 4 medium runners away. As you say, top 6 probably all have very similar percentage of tyre wear at the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely fascinating. The race definitely will be restarting this lap, I believe. By the way, Fede is nearly at the back of the pack. Got a question, how many warnings have those drivers got? So we'll go through the warnings for the top 10. It is 1 for Midnight, 1 for Leo, 0 for Danico, 2 for Duncan and Jordan, 1 for Blizzard, none for M Short, 1 for Fusilio, 2 for Benjamin, and 1 for Yost. So M Short and Danico can afford to take a few more risks than some of the others around them, as what on earth is that barrier doing coming through Scarvi? The marshals better get that seen too, as we've only got 2 laps to go. And safety car is coming in this lap. Midnight, he doesn't want to give anyone a slipstream here. Hopefully he was watching the restart that Bottas did on Saturday, because that was a pretty much perfect restart of what to do at Monza.
Yeah, well, who almost want to trick the guy to start swerving and then just go. I've seen that kind of restart tactic done. And yeah, there goes Midnight right there. That's a good restart. But he's still going to be punching a hole through the air for the entire field as we restart. Just having M Short. Well, actually, M Short didn't get that particularly good exit. Fusilo is right on the back of him on those 11 old soft tyres.
Yeah, not too many changes there, but it seemed like the exit was good enough for Midnight just to hold on to the lead of this race then. So 2-lap sprint. This is a proper sprint race if you're watching Formula 1. Casper and Lars wheel banging, coming out of the Vettifilio chicane. This has created a bit of a gap ahead of them, and it is Lars who is just hanging on for this moment in time. Is he going to be doing that for much longer though? Casper, which way is he going to go? I think he's going to have to go down the inside here into the Rogier chicane. Sticks a wheel down the inside. Is Lars going to give him enough space and just holds onto that position for now? And all of a sudden Casper's having to go defensive from Jack Eater. This is what the moves are going to be like if we get any. If you make a slight mistake, you're all of a sudden going to be under pressure. Benjamin gets ahead of Fusilio. He could be a bit of a sitting duck on those older tyres. He's now got used all over the back of him as well. Here we are on board with the Red Bull driver. He's damage limitation for that championship lead as Benjamin almost gets in the way there of Fusilio, and Yost says thank you very much, I will take that 9th position. But no change in the top 7 drivers then as we are coming through Parabolica for the penultimate time. Midnight, Leo, Danico, Duncan, Jordan, Blizzard, M Short, Benjamin, Yost, Fusilio, your top 10.
Yeah, I mean, M Short tried to attack Blizzard into the Roggio, but didn't have the space as Jaquita. Oh, Jaquita's just smashed into the wall of the Parabolica, so he is out as we enter the last lap. And there's side-by-side action here between Jordan and Duncan going for the move here. And Duncan squeezes on the inside and manages to defend the place, but that's compromised his exit. He's got a whole gaggle of cars behind him.
Yeah, he has indeed. Casper still battling with Fusilio and Lars, and Casper actually managed to get ahead of the pair of them. Duncan's not giving Jordan any space at this moment in time here, and this is not allowed, surprisingly, Blizzard to try and get ahead, and M Short as well. Danico must have made a slight mistake on that lap, or obviously Duncan was too busy occupied with Jordan as Georges has had a spin. He goes all the way to the back of the field. It was looking like a promising race for him earlier. Not so now, unfortunately for him. He's going to be walking away with no points. Now Blizzard's all over the back of Jordan, but I think everyone having full batteries and no one having any DRS has just sort of neutralised things here as Benjamin almost gets ahead of M Short, and at the front of the field, Midnight is heading down towards the Parabolica. It looks as though he's going to take his first victory of the season not long after getting his first podium of the season. Yost's going to try and have a go at Benjamin here into the final corner as well, but at the front of the field it is going to be Midnight who takes victory at the Italian Grand Prix. Leo gets second, Danico gets third position, John Duncan in fourth, Jordan, Blizzard, M Short, Benjamin, Yost and Casper round out the points. So close towards there at the finish, but full batteries really sort of neutralised everything in this race, no matter how good the tyres were. Blizzard gets driver of the day. It was a slow start from the man who was leading the championship for the majority of the season so far, but the plaudits have to go to his teammate today. A superb drive from Midnight to take the win.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible day he's had. What an incredible couple of weeks he's had. A podium last week, and now the race win here tonight. Unbelievable scenes for AlphaTauri, and that's just fantastic. And Midnight's put himself as if he keeps this up, he will be putting himself into the fight for the championship later on. Juice and Blizzard managed to recover from their earlier problems in the race to get into the points, but yeah, I mean, what a podium that is. 2 drivers on the podium who hadn't been on the podium this season. And yeah, I mean, Leo and Danico, they definitely deserve a lot of credit for their drives today. Absolutely fantastic from them.
Yeah, Leo's start was really crucial for him. He had a fantastic start. He takes second place, but it is Midnight who takes the victory. Leo and Danico getting their first time on the podium. Duncan 4th, another fastest lap for Jordan in 5th. Blizzard in 6th. AlphaTauri now lead the Constructors' Championship. M. Short, Benjamin, Yost and Casper rounding out the points. Lars just misses out on his debut. Fusilo, Fede and Georges and Xander with the penalty, obviously, with the final finish as Jack Eater was classified despite crashing out at the end. And we also lost, well, who else did we lose at various points in that race? Suso, Asakomi, Will LG and Christmas, the other retirements from what was a frenetic action at the Italian Grand Prix. The wet conditions, yes, didn't force drivers onto intermediate tyres as we expected, but probably caused more chaos than if it had been raining a tiny bit more, because you saw how much everyone was struggling for grip in those first few laps.
Yeah, I mean, normally going into this race, the two sections where you see a lot of the incidents are the 3, I should say, are the chicanes. You see all the wheel banging normally in turn 1, then you see people clumping over the curbs in the Roggio, and then of course people struggling with the high speed exit of Ascari. But Parabolica, I don't think I've ever seen so many drivers have incidents at Parabolica in all the times that I've been commentating on league racing. It was extraordinary how many times sort of the car's aero was failing and they were just spinning the car, without really any contact of any other car.
Yeah, definitely. Same as you were saying. I've done it plenty of times, but name a corner that I haven't spun on various Formula One games. To be perfectly honest with you, there's a reason why I stick to the commentating. But yeah, just so many drivers that you wouldn't expect to do it as well, and probably the most costly was Benjamin. Obviously, looking like he was going to have a chance to take the victory in this race, was doing so well for so long, and then all fell apart with that one spin to still recover to get points. He'll be happy to get his first points of the season, but definitely a case of what might have been.
Yes, but I think he'll be pleased over his drive. Maybe a few lessons to learn for Benjamin. But yeah, he was on for being the second reserve to win a race this season. But we've had 4 different race winners from the first 5 races. Juice the only repeat winner. But that's it. That's just great. I mean, Midnight proving in terms of the championship battle, we got a lot of depth in the league in terms of who's going to be fighting for those championship positions as the race is going on. We've got some cracking rounds coming up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys can do and whether anyone can really take control of the championship, because with Juiced and Blizzard not scoring a lot of points today, it's really tightened up the championship again.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do, and looking forward to hearing what some of the drivers thought about this race. We are going to start with the driver interviews. Mark will be taking us through them, and we're going to start with the man who finished in 3rd place. It is Danico.
Well, here we are again for the post-race interview for the PSGL F1 Italian Grand Prix, and finishing in 3rd place, grande. We are joined by one of the Ferrari drivers, Dan Urco. You finished 3rd, your first podium of the season, I should say. That is a great result for you. We always get one.
we always get one. We'll let
what is it? What does Bottas say? Traditions.
Traditions. Yeah. We'll try and move on ever so slightly. We'll give him time. We'll start with the guy who finished in 1st then, and hopefully this one does work. We will start with the man who took his first victory of the season. It is CRG Midnight.
Well, yeah, CRG Midnight, AlphaTauri driver. We've already seen one half of the AlphaTauri team win a race this season, and now Midnight, after his podium at the Netherlands last week, you followed it up with your first win of the season. I mean, talk about going from 0 to hero in the space of a couple of weeks. You must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super relieved that I finally got the victory that I wanted so much last season at Canada. Actually, wait, before I talk, is my mic alright? Because last time I noticed my mic was really, really quiet. Is it fine now?
Yep, coming through loud and clear for me.
Oh yeah, cool. Anyway, I interrupted myself, really. Yeah, Canada last season, I won on track pole. It was all looking smoothly until I got that stupid penalty, made the wrong decision with the rain. But this time, finally got pole and decided to actually make the correct strategy. Started on the softs and didn't get a penalty this time, which is a massive, massive relief.
Yeah. So, I mean, how tricky were the conditions out there? Because light rain was predicted, but it ended up being so light. Everyone started on dry tyres and having, in effect, a normal tyre compound race. So you have to use 2 different compounds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the softs at the start. I was telling the CRG guys, because obviously I'm in a fight with them. I was telling them, if we need a good start here, and we can stretch the softs because it's wet. You're not going to wear the tires out that much, and you can stretch them a lot. But the softs and the conditions and whatnot, you can get a good start. You can you can see what your options are from there, and you can assess the situation more peacefully without people going mayhem, I guess, around you on the mediums. As you probably notice further back with the drivers, there's so much stuff going on with the mediums. But yeah, I think it was crucial to actually start in the softs, because if we hadn't, obviously we just wouldn't be in this position, and we would have dropped like an absolute fly.
Well, moving on to the next round, of course, it is the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Is that a track that is one of your favourites?
I mean, I won here in the social races for this game, but I don't particularly like the track that much. I'm not gonna lie, but again, we'll give it our best shot like this week, and hopefully we can get a good result.
Well, congratulations on your win tonight at midnight. That was a great drive, and I'm sure we will speak to you again.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, Luke.
Yeah, congratulations to Midnight, and let's bring in the man who finished in second position, did lead the race on a few occasions, and not a bad start for him in the CRG team. It is CRG Leo.
Leo, well, Alpine collectively, you and M Short didn't have the best starts to the season. It was always a struggle to score points, but today a fantastic drive, really in the battle for the win throughout the race, more or less. You had a particularly brilliant start to get you up into the sort of further top half of the top 5 positions. So you must be really pleased with your best result of the season. And again.
But one out of three is not bad, to be perfectly honest. We'll
Not bad, not bad. I don't know what it is with Discord. It's like as soon as they come in, it's like, no, let's turn on the Shio meter and make sure they can't speak. But we know that they're speaking. It's just bizarre. I don't know. It must be some sort of audio channel on their PC or whatever. I don't know how they connect to Discord, to be fair.
Well, to be perfectly honest, earlier the Discord was picking up my Elgato as the microphone, which might have made things very awkward throughout this. So we'll try again with the man who finished in third place, and that is Dan Airco. Dan Airco, can you hear us? Dan Airco, are we? It seems to have gone shy all of a sudden. Dan Airco, can you hear us? Well, I think we're going to have to call the interview short tonight. A bit of a shame, really. Would have been interesting to see how, talk to those two drivers who obviously got their first podium of the season. Absolutely delighted, I imagine they are. And Midnight sounding pleased with his performance, but very calm, very collected.
Yes, it seems like they're just having a bit of a lag, those two, to Discord. So I don't think it's their fault. I think it's just Discord doing Discord things. So Midnight. It was a well-deserved victory today, but I think he's looking at the next race already. We talked about him being rightly, in my view, one of the preseason favourites. And yes, he had a very, very slow start to the season, and he will admit that himself. A lot of unforced errors in the early rounds, but he's really come strong in the last couple of rounds, and he's now firmly one of the best drivers in the league based on those performances. And now, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Juiced and Blizzard respond, because again, the top 2 in the championship, they had Juiced had an obviously brilliant couple of rounds earlier on to get 2 wins, and Blizzard, he's had a better round this week, but again, I don't think Blizzard will look at that and think, yeah, that's not where I want to be. I don't want to be outside the top 6 in the points. I want to be challenging for the win, and like I was earlier in the season. So it's a lot to think about for those 2 drivers, but I think we've seen today, maybe along with Duncan as well, that there's 4 title contenders for this title.
Yeah, apparently, Leo and Daneko can hear each other, so maybe rather than them going to the commentary box, we'll try and go into the waiting room. So if we just
We'll
make our way over there, and fingers crossed, this will work. Daneko, Leo, can you hear us at all?
Yes.
Well, great. Mark, over to you, and we'll start off with the man who finished in second, Leo.
Well, Leo, better late than never on this interview. But yes, difficult start to the season for you and M Short and the LP team. But tonight, two very good drives, but yours in particular, your first podium of the season, by far your best result. You must be absolutely over the moon with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't, of course, participate to the first rounds. I've not been able to play the game that much to keep up the pace, and all this work I've done this week's pays off today, and it's really good to see performing me well. Yeah, it's a real good thing for me to have the self-esteem that push me to over my limit so I can go faster. Yeah.
Well, given your speed in this particular race, that must give you a lot of confidence going into the next couple of rounds to finish off the European. Well, I was going to say finish off the European portion season, but of course we are going to go to one more European race in the second half of the season. But Silverstone next week for you, Leo. Is that a track that gives you a lot of confidence to repeat this kind of result?
No, not really. I don't really like this kind of tracks. Was really really large. I try my best, of course. This week I'll try to work hard to improve where I don't perform very well. And yeah, also getting my first podium in my home race, it's very special. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yes, as someone who's part Italian myself, yeah, getting any sort of result in Italy is fantastic. But an actual Italian like you must be absolutely brilliant. But big congratulations for your podium, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And we'll move straight on to the driver who finished in P3, Danny. Grande, Italian and in a Ferrari, who have finished on the podium at Monza. It doesn't get much better than that.
That feels really good. Two Italians, second and third. So at Monza, I'm in a Ferrari, so better than this. I was not really fast today because my first feedback in the wheel was literally 0 at the start of the race from the formation lap, so I was not confident at all. So I tried my best, but the guys in front were really fast. I was not sure about the choice for the safety car to not pit, but it paid off. So P3, I'm confident now. I can go further in this season. Try my best to put the results like this.
Yeah, well, it's a real high to get into that. I mean, we were talking about it during the stream that this seemed to be the race for the underdogs outside the top 10 championship. At one point, I think the top 5 was all drivers outside the top 10. So it's been a really good day to grab a big result, and you fully deserved it. So I wish you all the best for Silverstone, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again at some stage in the season.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining for the interviews. Got there in the end. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Thanks to all 3 drivers for joining us. And I think you summed it up well there, Mark. The race of the underdog. We've now had 4 different winners from the first 5 races. Those towards the top of the championship not managing to make their way onto the podium. It looks like we're going to have a fascinating season. And next time out, a completely different track to Monza. Yes, it is still high speed, but a lot more technical, a lot more high-speed corners. It is Silverstone.
Well, I mean, Silverstone, for me personally, as a PSGL F1 commentator, one of the greatest races I've ever seen in top tier history was the season 19 race. And there was an amazing battle between Cliffy and Ollie D, 2 drivers, which some of you more veteran viewers of PSGL will be quite familiar with. I'm definitely going to put some clips up of that. And if we get a battle like that during the race, I think we're in for something special. But that's the thing, Luke. Every single race this season has been, really entertaining. It's had some drama. Perhaps not as much as real life. I don't think any league could match the drama of what real life Formula One's like right now. But yeah, I mean, it's just been regular entertainment. And I think, Wilson won those 2 championships, but him leaving it has really, I think it's galvanized the whole grid thing. Yeah, this is a big opportunity for us. Now that the best driver on PlayStation has moved to PC at the time, there's a massive chance for all of them to win perhaps their first championship, or indeed in the case of someone like Blizzard, their 3rd championship.
Yeah, that gap that they're trying to fill, of course, we've seen Wilson leave. Let's not forget, season 25, it was Jarno Otmaier who took the championship here on the PlayStation. We've seen some fast drivers come and go, and maybe that bit of pressure, knowing that they could follow some of them great names, is maybe just playing on the minds a bit, and that is why we are seeing a few mistakes. There's plenty more PSGL action to come, of course. We have got the team event, which is starting up again in just over a week's time. I believe that is a week on Friday. But before that, we have got plenty more PSGL action. We have got the PC tiers, the lower tiers on a Wednesday, the top tier on a Thursday. Fingers crossed all goes well and none of the cars start riding each other around Silverstone. And then the PlayStation tiers, bottom ones on a Thursday, the top full assist tiers on a Sunday, and the line only tiers and the top 4 no assist whatsoever tiers on a Monday. Myself and Mark bringing you the action again from 8 p.m. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Cheers to Mark for joining us. Thanks to the drivers as well for joining us for the commentary interviews, and we will see you next time around for the British Grand Prix. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Grazie ragazzi.